All right, hello everyone. This is La-Tasha and Arthur Anderson. We are here to talk about the Durham Momentum Grant requirements for all the cohorts that are from cohort 5 to cohort 1. There are just a few things that you still need. And so we wanted to come to you so you can watch this video, learn about the specific things you need to do, how to do it, and be able to implement it for your business. So, author, tell them the first thing that they need to do in order to making sure that they meet the deadline. And first, tell them what the deadline is.
So for cohort 5, the deadline is going to be November 24th, 2025. So the first thing that we need you to turn in is a COVID-19 business impact statement. And what that means is you give us an idea of how COVID impacted your business. That's one of the reasons why you all were accepted into the program. So we just need you to give a brief synopsis of how that impacted your business.
So let me answer that also as if I was applying. So I'm a business owner, and if I was replying to that, first and foremost, I would have it on a document that had my business logo. It would also have my business contact information. The second thing is I need to know what the time frame that the business was shut down. So remember, there was a mandatory shutdown, meaning that you could not go out, you could not have clients, and if you you had to then buy your PPE items. So that means that there was an increase in cost from there. That was an interruption in business revenue. So these are just some examples of things that could have impacted your business. So when you're talking about a statement, you want to include information of how it impacted your business. So the first thing you need to include is, did your business have to shut down? Or were you considered an essential business? And then 2, what additional things that you had to purchase that you would not have had to purchase if COVID was not in place? 3, did your clients or revenue change, meaning that your revenue changed, or did expenses increase because you had to maybe buy additional things that you didn't have before? So, and the 5th thing could be any other impact that it had. Did you contract COVID? Did someone in your family contract COVID? And what was the other items that impacted your business? Is there anything that you would want to add to that, author, as it relates to that COVID-19 business impact statement?
No, I think that's it pretty well. So just make sure you just include that. That's very important. It's a compliance requirement, so we need you to include that information.
All right. And then one thing I would say is just make sure you sign it. So put it on your business letterhead and sign it. So what's another thing that is required that is missing in order to get businesses access to this Durham Momentum grant?
So the next thing is we need you to talk about any type of assistance you receive from COVID-19, whether that's, and this is included but not limited to PPP loans, any type of state or federal grants you may have obtained. We just need you to outline what that is and, if it was a dollar amount associated with it.
All right, so here again, business owners, on your letterhead. So that means it needs to have your logo. It needs to have your business address. You will just list out if you received the paycheck protection, which was SBA dollars, how much you received, if you are repaying that dollars back, if you received the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Assistance, how much was that? What was the requirements? You would just list those things. If you received any other grant funds, any specific dollars that was related to COVID, you would just list that out. And even if it was forgiven, and then again, you would put it on your letterhead, sign and date it, and then have that as an attachment for author. Author, what's the next thing that is something that's required?
So the next thing we want you to list out your full business address. And so with that, it can be a PO box. We need an actual physical address. So we need you to list that as well as the number of employees that you have. And that's including yourself. So if you're the only person that works for your business, you identify that. So,
All right, now what about if you said no PO box, but I have a UPS box, I have a virtual office, I have a home-based business. Which one of those can I list, or how can I do that? Or what's the requirements?
so it had to be a physical location. So And on part of the requirements is this has to be a Durham-based business. So you have to be within Durham County. So if you don't meet those requirements, then that'll be a barrier. So you have to be in the county of Durham.
All right, so please make sure that you are using a physical address, not well, if you're in a co-working space, that would count, right? Because a business can be located with a co-working space.
So as long as it's within Durham County, and then our compliance arm verifies that, so they may do a site visit to make sure that you actually are doing business out of that operating space.
Okay, all right, good. And then again, on that, you want to make sure you put the number of employees, including yourself. So if it's you, one part-time. Now, again, if you are contracting with people, they are not considered employees. These are people that you have on payroll and you're taking out taxes. So just make sure that you're not including 1099 because that's not an employee. Those are considered non-employee compensation.
Yep, that's correct.
All right, so what's the next thing on the list that is required?
So we'll need you to, if you've made any changes to your budget use of funds, we want you to make an amended budget use of funds, which shows how you're planning on spending the money. If you had to deviate, then include that and make sure that your invoices coincide with your budget use of funds.
Wow, so that's a big one. So let's see. So first and foremost, there was a spreadsheet that we've asked everyone to use that when you got approved, and so I'm gonna share my screen and hopefully you can find it. But what you would do is one, making sure that you go back to that total budget and look at those budget categories. And if those budget categories are not the same as what was initially submitted, then you have to do what is called a amendment. So you're going to request a amendment to that budget. And again, this is on the access to you that you have as your spreadsheet. We will make sure that you have access with this video or a link to it and being able to making sure. And for every item that you have as your budget use of funds, please make sure you have a receipt for each item. That means that you know the purchase, the vendor name, address, that total expense, what that category, so it can be calculated with what you have in your budget use of funds and making sure that that information is correct. Also in this spreadsheet is sample invoices, making sure that you change everything in this invoice. So if you're looking and it says payable to business name, that means you need to type over it and put your business name. Making sure you need to put the description, how many months is that covering for, what's the price per month, and then what's that total per invoice. So making sure that everything calculates and is added up properly. So this spreadsheet has 5 different tabs. The first is the total budget. The second is existing receipts. The third is any amendments that you have made to the budget use of funds. So that means you spent money on something that was not formally improved, and then your invoices 1 and invoices 2, but making sure every line item is your business information and every line item you put that is your business. That is something that you will need to do in this templated document.
And also, for those of you that may be submitting your first invoice, we know you likely will not have receipts. So you will need an estimate. So let's say, for instance, you're a computer for your business, then you'll need to get an estimate from whatever company you decide to purchase that from, whether that's Best Buy or whoever you decide. We need a description of what that is. And I've seen in the past in that tab that you have for where it gives a description, sometimes the description get cut off. So I would to expand that, or you can give a supplemental document that description so our compliance arm can review those and make sure that everything is in alignment with your budget use of funds.
And you know what, you just brought up a good point. So let me just say to everyone, these funds must be used for business expenses. I'm gonna say that one more time. These funds must be used for business expenses. So an example of business expenses are rent or lease payments, equipment that the business is going to use, technology software that the business is going to use, inventory that the business can use, supplies that business can purchase. So things that will be within the business. The things that will make this ineligible is if it is any personal expenses. So you cannot use it for your personal home expenses. Anything that is personal in nature, you cannot use these funds for. This is for the business only.
Correct. Yep. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
All right, so let's kind of get next item that we need to make sure that everybody have.
So, also we need your tax returns. So I know some of you may have turned that in the past, but with updated compliance requirements, if you were in cohort 1 and cohort 2, then we'll need the 2021 completed and filed tax returns. Cohorts 3 and 4, then we will need 2022 tax, and the same for cohort 5.
So now in that case, is it just the business tax returns or business and personal?
We would need the business tax returns, because of the requirements for this program is you have to fall within a certain category, which is low to moderate income. So they're reviewing those tax returns to make sure that you meet those standards. Also, when you send over that we need to make sure that it's not password protected, because even if you give us that password, we need to have a copy that we can annotate and log file. And so please just make sure it's not password protected. You're going to be sending it over to a official government email address that's going to encrypt your information and make sure that, everything is secure so you don't have to worry about anything like that.
All right, so making sure, so the business tax returns, that is typically your Schedule C or a Schedule 1120, depending on your tax filing. If you are a sole proprietor or LLC, then you file a Schedule C. So what you want to do is look at your full tax package and then pull out the Schedule C. And again, he's asking no password protection. So you want to make sure that any can open up the file, no matter who receives it. And I am going to even add, can you make sure the file is clear and blurred? So make sure you don't take an image of your phone or something with it on your lap. So making sure that it is a clear image.
Preferably PDF. If you need help with that, I some time to help out with that, to convert it into a PDF where you can bring it to me, and we'll, whatever we do to assist, we just need to schedule a time so we can make that happen.
All right, sounds like if you just print it out, bring it, and he can pull the documents that he needs. And he will scan it so that he will have exactly what he needs for files.
The last is an entity ID number, and that's something where you're gonna have to go to sam.gov and you'll apply for that. I want you to make sure that you're going to the official government website, because there are some sites that will try to solicit you to pay for this, and this is a free thing. So La-Tasha is going to put it up so you'll be able to see step by step of how you obtain a number.
All right, so sam.gov. So SAM period GOV. There are some fake sites, so don't go to sam.gov.org, not anything else. So it is just SAM period GOV. Hopefully you can see the screen. Now, what I would tell everybody needing to do is first and foremost, look at this YouTube video that tells you how to get a UEI. So it will go through the process and ask you questions. Watch the video. The video will take you on a step by step of how to navigate the system. And then you want to hit the green getting started, hit the green getting started button. You also, when it asks you, you just want to get a UEI because you're receiving funds through a federal entity. So making sure when you get to that section, you're clicking on that checkbox. So first, when you go to sam.gov, you're going to watch the YouTube video on how to get a UEI. This is different from your DUNS number. So sam.gov and DUNS has no longer used the same number. So sam.gov have a different number than DUNS. So what you want to be able to do is go to this site, watch the video. Once you watch the video, then you want to click getting started and then doing this process. It's helpful to do this from a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop. It is going to be difficult to do this from your phone. So I would encourage you to do this from a tablet, desktop, or laptop. That way you can then be able to follow the process. It takes about 15 minutes to do it. It takes 2 to 3 days for your UEI number to be returned to your email. So you need to be able to watch your email. There is no charge for a UEI number. It is 100% free. However, you've got to make sure you're putting your business address, street address in to this system so that you will not get kicked out or denied for getting a UEI number. So that is really key and important. All right. So I think that is all. Is there anything else?
No, if you have any questions or you need any help, here to support specifically me. So just feel free, you can call myself, you can text message me, whatever is most convenient. But it's imperative that we get this done because there is a deadline and I want to make sure that everyone gets compensated.
All right. So please watch this video and you can watch it as much as you need to, but here's the information that you need to making sure that you are able to get access to Durham Momentum Grant Fund.